Super Mario Wonder, the amazing new installment for the side-scrolling plumber, and I wanted to find out if you can beat it without killing a single enemy. And I even tried saving some as well. Can we do it? Let's find out. We enter the land of Flower Kingdom, home of talking plants, wonder flowers, and of course, Bowser ruining everything. On to our first few levels, which, being the start, are pretty simple. The first is clearing over some Goombas, and with each level we do get a chance for 2 Wonder Seeds, one by completing level, and one through getting past the somewhat trippy Wonder Flower experience. We get blocked into a section by the number of Wonder Seeds to collect, meaning each flower we can safely get is a big bonus, especially if we get stuck or have to avoid later levels. In level 2 it should be mandatory to not kill the piranha plants because they just want to sing and vibe. Now, a small thing happened on our first go. When we touch the Wonder Flower, it makes a piranha plant disappear, which I'm leaning towards counting, so start over and let him wander away first. We can then enjoy the singing and finish this one without a guilty conscience. Next level was going well, but when trying to get the Wonder Flower, ended up squashing him. And annoyingly, even when being careful, it causes us to spawn right over him when we try to collect the flower. Managed to just get it after a couple of goes with this tight mid-air spin, but then had to gingerly move forward to avoid knocking into the enemies whilst we're invincible. Then we're met by a familiar problem, though this time instead of spawning over, it just vaporizes all of them. So gonna have to leave this Wonder Seed and finish normally. Going to count flag poofing, very technical phrasing of course, as just the will of the world. Wonder Flowers we can control, the flag's divine judgment, not so much. With that first set of levels down, we now head on and acquire our first badge. And a very useful one at that, allowing us to use our hat to float. Pretty handy. We now enter a more open world setting where we can choose our levels to get the required number of seeds. It will be useful if we come across an impossible level that we need to avoid. But first an easy one down at a break time level, and then next to the Hoppos, who are thankfully invulnerable. What they roll into though, not so much. So, started again. This parachute cap is going to be used many times this run I think. Great starting badge. Unfortunately the Hoppos aren't resistant to getting zapped, so another Wonder Seed we had to leave. Yeah, you should look guilty. No more issues afterwards, and a new break time with an easy Wonder Seed there. Not technically our fault, but we can save them, so why not? Bomb guy saved. Then a bit of stealth needed for the top guy. And again, tried to be the good Samaritan with the tall enemies to let them wander off to despawn before calling the bull. Although ended up for nothing as we can't use the Wonder Seed anyway. What's the difference between being poofed and being despawned? Well, that's too much of a philosophical question for this video. Few glides over and we were done. Onto a new level type, badge challenges, which will be good for easy Wonder Seeds as don't think many of them have enemies in them. And with that done, we have enough seeds to progress. And access to a race level, so another pretty easy one for avoiding enemies, and the same for the following War Kick badge challenge. Only 2 more needed for this world. Knockout arenas, yeah, that's not going to happen for this challenge. Next level got through to the end pretty easily, but missed finding the Wonder Seed. Although since we only need 1 more though, gonna leave for now and try a new level and come back if it's the only option. Which it could be because the next level seems to be a no-go, as we need to push this pipe, which would involve killing both of these guys. Or maybe not. Parachute cap's a definite winner, and no other problems after that. That's all we need then. On to our first castle.
Ew, what am I looking at?
Stick a green screen there and it feels like there's meme potential here. Tad easier for this level as the dry bones get up even if we accidentally land on them, so no problems there. Although I was a bit worried about being forced to take out this hammer bro by bonking the box, but Lone could crouch jump, which stops us from reaching the boxes, so no issues there either. Just leaving Bowser Jr., whose wonder design reminds me of Dark Bowser from an old Mario DS game, if anyone remembers it. But anyway, I accidentally got clipped and then finished him off. Well, I say finish, we'll see him a few more times in this run. World 1 done, no big issues. Into Petal Isle, a world we're going to keep coming back to throughout this, with the first 2 seeds being free, one from a local citizen, and second from the Dolphin Badge Challenge, which unlocked the next level needed. Mainly swimming, avoiding the enemies. Again, the Wonder Seed is merciless to the enemies, so had to leave that one. 1 seed only for this level, and a bit of deja vu for the next level. The Wonder Flower, stronger than any power-up at killing enemies. Left it, and another 1 seeder. That did mean though we were 1 seed short, but luckily still had a level left over from earlier. And was a swimming level, so low risk of killing anything. Did accidentally let the Wonder Flower get blown off screen whilst waiting for the fish to move out of poofing range. Didn't even realise that was a thing. Managed to get on the next go, but this one really made me regret the choice of trying to save the mobs as well. Avoiding them is hard enough to begin with. But no, I'm stubborn, and so after a lot of messing about, backtracking, getting the fish to attack in the gaps between the mini red ones, then back again to grab the things we needed, managed to actually do it. Only to be convinced after all that was going to be for naught and the fish were going to get zapped anyway by the flower. But no, fish just brush it off and we can actually get a second Wonder Seed this time. Nice. That was enough for now and we head into World 2, grabbing the free seed at the start. Then an easy couple more in the search level and the second wall climb badge challenge. This one was okay, just avoiding landing on the chilling Goombas. I did manage to grab the Wonder Seed for this one as well, with only a slight issue with the wall jumps. First roadblock unlocked, with an extra to spare. The next one is filled with birds literally trying to dive under our feet, even doing so once successfully, so an immediate restart. Not much brotherly love here. For this, we first had to trigger the triplets. Oh, okay, whoops. Thought he only dropped when we were moving. As we're saying, trigger the trio and only then head up, as that's when it triggers the first guy. Managed it and reached the Wonder Flower, but it poofs the bird right at the end. So close. Only one for this level. Also after that, the first point we remembered the shops, which do sell Wonder Seeds, but personally want to leave these as a last resort. Onwards. The next level was handy as it's a Wonder level straight away, no enemies, no messing about, just timing jumps, and is quite generous as failed the first go, where instead of losing lives, we're just sent straight back to the start. So on the second go, okay, it took me a couple of goes, but managed it and 2 seeds acquired. And straight into a badge challenge afterwards, which, I'll be honest, probably my least favourite badge in the game, especially in that hellscape of a final level in the game. Had enough for the next roadblock, but whilst we're here, the badge challenges are normally free, so grabbed another. Did get munched once whilst going through, but nothing other than that. And then the next level was a bit of a strange one. Like the dry bones we can drop on the Koopas, as they just retreat into their shells and come back out unscathed. And in the middle, thought its treasure hunt Wonder Seed would end up being a no-go by poofing all the flying Koopas around, but this time instead it teleports us away, so no Koopas getting Thanos snapped in this one. And after beating it, we get a break time level afterwards, which is pretty much another free Wonder Seed. Nice little run of levels. Okay, gonna count that one as my bad. Unfortunately can't grab the Wonder Flower in this level as the mobs stop the platform from rising, so we just can't reach it. Tried going the reverse way with some Hollow Knight-esque wall climbing to reach it, but we get blocked. So only one for this level. We then run into our first battleship, which are concerning levels as they're mandatory, so we can't avoid them, and if we run into issues, that's it, run's gone. Unfortunately we can't get the Wonder Flower as the mob dies after we use his fireworks to reach it, and throughout this I should just avoid rushing too far ahead.
Surprise,
Did have to do some good before finishing this one, as had to save some bomb-ons from getting squished by winning a push of war against the enemy. From the work earlier, we already had the seeds necessary, so headed straight to the castle. This time getting stretched by the Wonder effect, so no issues with enemies, although I feel like I both would and wouldn't want to see what Mario looks like in the light when this happens. After getting through that, quick Bowser Jr. battle, and return to Petal Isles. Staying for long though, as a new badge challenge followed by another race gives us enough to go straight to World 3. As normal, grabbing a seed at the start, followed by a free one at a search party level. Next for our first proper level of the world, and this is going to be tricky. So first had to scope out where the spiky ones were going to appear, then wait for the Koopas to move out the way, or just off the bridge, and then on repeat all the way throughout the level. Looks like they get along. No Wonder Flower for this one either, and did end up getting clipped quite a few times throughout. Nothing else blocking us though, and with some wall jumping afterwards, grabbed the seed from the following break time level. With that, we had enough to head on, and on to the first badge challenge with enemies, but none got in the way, so nothing really to say about that one. In the midway trial, the flower is literally held by an enemy, so definitely ruled this one out, although he did keep us company throughout the level though. And although this world seems to have been going well, was getting a bit concerned as we still had 4 seeds to get and a limited number of levels left to get them, with the next one being quite odd. Another Wonder effect with stars, where I had to be careful not to hit them, but in this case the problem was not being able to get past this moving trail of enemies. Tried, and tried again, but just kept hitting those last 2 ones. I'm almost certain with the right timing that this is possible, but for the life of me I just couldn't get it. Now does that mean the whole level's a bust then if we can't get past this? Weirdly, no, because when we don't get the Wonder Flower, the level has an extra layer of clouds, so we can easily just jump over them, and the remainder is just some more precise jumping. That did mean only 1 for that level, and was getting more concerned now. Game did throw a lifeline to us with a free seed on a break time level afterwards, but 2 still to go. Could we get this level's Wonder Seed? Starting out, knew we had to be careful with the jumping as we fire out our own rounded, spiky boomerang. Also just to be careful, switch to the new elephant power up to avoid accidentally frying anything. Then came the Goombas. Ducked the first, got clipped by the second, stomped by the third, but managed to grab the flower, which poofs them. That's that then? No, not giving this one up without a fight. Headed back, ducked, dipped, dived. Okay, wrong moment for that one. Got to the flower spot, this time waiting for the Goombas to pass by, and then using the elephant power up to get the flower. No enemies poofed, so we're good there. Did get transfigured a bit. Then a few leaps, and a wonder seed acquired with no further issues to the end. Was getting a bit worried there, but got the 10 needed for this world. That just left the final track, which was a breeze, with no enemies to worry about and even could grab the wonder seed. Although really could have done with that earlier in this world. Anyway, picked up the royal seed and headed back. 3 worlds down, no enemies killed yet. Always get a bit nervous when we only have one path to choose from. In this one though, we get a new power up, the drill, which is very handy for this challenge as we can go underneath and above any enemies in our way. Just have to be a bit careful when the enemies drop down on us. The Wonderflower spawns a massive block in this level trying to squash us, which we could avoid, but grabbing poofs the giant as easily as it zaps the Goombas, so can't get it on this one either, which also meant we were 1 shy for the next world. Time for a bit of backtracking. There we go, still got 1 left. This one went pretty well. The drill power up that we kept from the last level easily avoided the majority of problems in this one, then to a bit of mid-air swimming, and then mid-air floating. I'm actively trying to not kill you. Work with me please. After avoiding him the next time, we grab the seed, this time getting teleported, thankfully, so another wonder seed we get to keep. That's all we need, and to World 4. Standard free seed to start of course, then knocked out a quick few starting levels with the search party, followed by a dance party. I aspire to be how chill this piranha plant is. Then our first desert level, no wonder seed, but the rest was pretty easy jumping over and gliding over enemies. And a following break time, so of course an easy seed there, which also gave me about my favourite power up for this challenge. So if a mummy's body is bandages, does this count as a haircut? Anyway, Wonderflower was a little chase sequence which managed to get without issues. Solid start to this world, only needing 7 more and got plenty of options left. First clearing an easy badge challenge, followed by a break time seed. I then found a shop that sells not just 1, but 3 seeds. That would be taking the mick a bit though. Always a backup option though, which could be needed as we came across our first impossible level. Starting off well, we deliberately wait before dropping the blocks so not to squash the sentient fireball, travel under the mob, and then we're stuck. We need to use this door to progress, which needs this block, which requires us fighting another push of war, which inevitably leads to... So yeah, 0 seeds acquired for this one. Managed to claw 1 back with another break time, so easy one there for the rhythm game. Then on the following level, the Wonderflower spawns a Shadow Mario, and of course despawns said Mario at the end, so no go on that flower. Which then gave on the second run, the added difficulty of doing all of it in the dark, which was trickier than I thought. And speaking of dark, the break time after that may have taken me more than a couple of goes. So with that we've bounced back a bit with only 2 seeds to go. But then thought I'd met another impossible level straight after, as we meet Goombas who get quite squished because of us. But no, we will be the protectors of the Goombas. With the elephant power up, we could parry the spiky ball back before it got to them. And again. Well, that one came out of nowhere. Then followed a few glides over, bit more elephant defense, going well, then... No, stop ball, stop. Okay, yeah, guess that works. Then the Wonderflower. Guys, going to be honest with you, I'm not hopeful about my chances here. Yeah, nope. Then since I lost my elephant power up with all that messing about, had to start the whole level over again so I could defend the Goombas later on. I really made that level needlessly difficult for myself. And the last level of this world didn't make it any easier. The jumping balloon enemies just didn't want to survive. Jumps under our feet, knocking power ups into us. I mean look how high I go up and he's still trying to reach to get stood on. Not sure they know what side they're on. After mostly dodging them all, got the last seed we needed, head to the world's castle. Which went fine, no issues, as it was more avoiding things than dealing with enemies. As a note, this Bowser Jr. fight is probably my favourite in the game, but I did take too long for this one, which led to him spawning fish, which of course get poofed, so I had to go all the way back round, so another restart and had to go again, making sure this time to get him quicker before he could spawn them. Back we go. En route to the next world, we do get intercepted by another unavoidable battleship, which ended up being okay. Thankfully this one's focus is floating through the level on clouds, just avoiding bullet bills and jets, and we even managed to grab the Wonderflower on this one, as long as we made sure Bowser didn't shoot the enemies, which was just drawing his fire. Was worth that extra effort though, as with that additional Wonder Seed, could go straight to World 5. As standard, we get another free seed, but this time no one's home, so this might actually be stealing. Anyway, we do get treated to a Halloween themed dance number on our first level, but... shame. Also, I know you're just trying to help level, but it doesn't work for this challenge. Another reset. And in fact, even had to save one group from getting squished as well. Next level was only avoiding some Koopas, which did include another Shadow Mario chase, so of course having to leave that one. But positive being, ignoring that Wonder Flower meant the exit was literally seconds afterwards. Similar to World 3, this seemed quite an easy start to the world, at least level wise, but was getting a bit concerned as that was 2 back-to-back no Wonder Seed levels. Was able to get one on a break time level, but that still left 2 to go and we only had 2 levels left. If either are impossible, we're in big trouble. But before that, a deep philosophical question. Can a ghost be killed? For the purpose of this challenge, going to say yes. Wasn't too bad as long as we avoided the switches, as we could just dodge between the various boos. The bigger problem was crossing moving invisible platforms that we normally have the lights on for, so that may have taken 1 or 2 goes. That was the end immediately after though. I had missed the Wonder Flower on that go, so went again, but ended up not really mattering as we couldn't get through that without boos getting fried. Unfortunately, that just left us with 1 level to get the needed seed. Started well getting the drill power up so I could avoid a lot of the early enemies, and had to do a bit of a tight wall jump to avoid killing one awkwardly placed hanging mob. But apart from that, apart from accidentally charging off into acid, but let's not talk about that, did manage to get to the end without any issues. That was a close one though. Headed on, unlocking the way. The next level was a bit different, throughout having to float or swim through lime jelly. We did have to watch out for the enemies quick spawning, but again our drill power up was a saviour. With the only real tricky part was making sure that the jelly enemies don't get squished themselves, which we avoided by triggering the enemies to drop sooner. Pretty similar to what we did with the fish earlier. Immediately after we turned into some sliding jelly and get through the rest of it without issues. Followed by another easy badge challenge. As a side note, before starting this challenge I really thought we'd be mixing and matching a lot. But the parachute cap has just been a head and shoulders above everything up to now. And on to the next one, which did have its problems. The biggest one was that I managed to get through the whole level fine, nothing to worry about, but received 0 seeds and then got booted out. Take 2. So this time, with a little help, managed to make it through this door and access to the Wonder Flower, which we're forced to take, as we're literally blocked in. So sorry Blocky, you're the first enemy I can't save from the Wonder Flower. Your sacrifice is appreciated though, as after some sliding jumps, we go from 0 to 2 seeds obtained, meaning we're now on 11 seeds and could go straight to the final level of the world. Which I can't really say too much about, as it's more time as sliding jelly, orbiting the Wonder Seed, and a quick rescue of some local miners. And with that we were done, just 1 world left to go. Sort of, but that's for later. First we had to do 1 last trek through Petal Isle to get to World 6. Well then. That's something. Did have to do quite a bit of gliding in this one to avoid being snapped up as well, and then had to live a day in the life of the Goombas due to the Wonder Flower. A bit of stealth work required for this one, and then we were clear. Quick grab of the spin jump badge, which was my favourite in my first playthrough, and another siege which was all we needed seed wise, but did have to complete another level to reach the world. Nothing too interesting in this one though, so blitzed through that and unlocked our way into the magma world. And our final free seed at the start. Don't have to nick it this time. Started with a search party that I thought would be a safe pick to start, but we actually couldn't finish it this time as we have to kill some fish for a token in this one. Not a great start. Then went to a badge challenge, another one that I thought would be fine, but again, issues. We come across this plant on a box, and at first it looked like it was going to be a no-go, as it seems we had to kill the plant first in order to progress past. But this one though, I wasn't having it. I practiced with the badge for a while and ended up being we could do something similar as the parachute cap to climb up. By wall jumping followed by mid-air spin, we could then head back to the wall and jump again, climbing up the wall. After a few tests, we put it into practice, and it worked. Thank God for that. Yeah, I might have a little coin to spare. I rescued a researcher who gave us a seed in exchange. Well then, I think I could just leave them. But no, instead I tested. First by landing on his head we push him back, and forward from the other side as well. So now it was just trial and error to get it. A lot of trial and error. It was worth it though, because we finally got this start. Stopped him in his tracks. Done.
I am inevitable.
Fair enough. Let's just keep going. Dodging the rest of them and couldn't get the level flower thanks to it being held by an enemy. And that was that. Now that that level was in the rear view, we follow it up by being intercepted by our last battleship. A lot like last time, there's quite a few enemies that chase after us, but none really get in our way, with the main difficulty avoiding the various flame contraptions throughout. And whilst we could get the Wonder Flower and even managed to stop him getting the mobs in the stage by drawing his fire away from them, at the very end... And although we've been forced to let it slide once, still wanted to keep this challenge up, so restarted and completed without the flower. The land of popcorn enemies was interesting. First of all, I did not appreciate enough this animation of Mario carrying the pot of his legs in my first playthrough. I don't even think I noticed. Now I'm thinking of all the other animations I may not have spotted. The second thing was found in this purple bud, where we followed to where it became a door. To the Shadow Realm, apparently. This did give us a seed, and also showed that we had 2 more left to go here. So once again, round 2. Going further into the level, we activated the Wonder Flower by watering the flowers, which was a pretty easy and enemyless.
Okay, don't hurt yourself.
An enemyless wonder effect. There wasn't any enemies in that wonder effect. So extra one there, then finished with a clean run to the end. Plus finishing this one gives us access to another observatory and another free seed. Great start. Still 7 to go though. 6 after an easy break level. The following, despite getting a 4-star Yelp review, didn't have issues. Well, at avoiding enemies at least. Playing dodgeball with fireballs and running out of space on the other hand, there may have been a few moments. But after a few goes, ended up being a pro at it. Then led a series of levels that I'm just going to rush through really, as nothing particularly got in our way. So here are the highlights. Dragon Boneyard, dodging birds whilst in our own hamster/dragon bone wheel. Does have one of my favourite wonder effects, but the dragon turns back into a fossil afterwards, so unsure if that counts or not. Kept it at 1 to be sure. Rags in the ruins. Interesting Granny's footsteps gimmick with blocks appearing, or probably better known nowadays as. Actually got the Wonder Seed for this one as it teleports us out. A second badge challenge was the penultimate one, and finishing in Pull Turn Burn, which was less about the enemies and more about the bullies. And that was that. All that remained was the last Bowser Jr. fight before the final gauntlet. But Bowser Jr. wasn't going down without one last spanner in the works. With some ninjutsu, he spawned some shadow clones, which I wasn't so bad at avoiding at first, but then he did it in the dark, and then had to keep a bit more of an eye on his position. Lost it on our first go, but on our second try with the final stomp, he was done, and now it was time to finish this. The final gauntlet. 5 levels between us finishing this game without killing a single enemy. A single enemy. And saving quite a few at the same time. First level, where we had to ride long bullet bills across the level, which I'm not really sure what to class as we knock them out when landing, and then they slowly glide down out of sight. For lore, gonna say once they're out of sight, they say sod this, and they head off to a spa. Or a tropical beach. Not that we need extra ones now, but we can't get the Wonder Seed for this level, so ignore that and straight to the end. 4 to go. High Voltage was essentially a pseudo battleship level as it had a ton of enemies to dodge between, but the main focus was dodging electricity, so not too many issues with that. Plus by ignoring the unneeded Wonder Seed in the level, shortens this by an absolute ton. 3 to go, and was concerned for this one as it included heat-seeking bills, which did trip me up at first, but the funny thing ended up being is that they were much more likely to take each other out than to get in our way during the level. Yeah, we had to be careful when we were trapped between the pipes with a lot less space, but by rushing through, we didn't really give them a chance to catch us and be an issue. So that was that. 2 to go. The penultimate level. With more seeking bills, but this time more like a kind of tracking centipede bill. Weird. Which did cause issues when they grouped together and mobbed us. But after a restart, a little trick we can do with these platforms is by slamming down on them. Okay, ignore that one. By slamming down, it speeds up how fast the platform moves instead of just normally landing on it, letting us quickly get past the first group of bills. Maybe a little too fast there. Calmed it down a bit on the next go to get through. And although failed the wonder effect on the first go, managed to clear through on the next one. The final stage, in we go to get this done. To start, Bowser Jr. chooses scissors. Bad move. The first enemies are easily dodged. Then we fly and Kai the dragon, although Kai is meant to be purple. Scamper over the rough rhinos, dodge the rolling spike ball, and then... Actually, no, wait. Pause the music. Goombas are one thing, but singing piranha plants must be protected. There, saved. All is well in the universe now. And that was pretty much the last set of enemies. A couple of singing doors followed up, but then after experiencing some 0G, we got to the end to face the Dino himself. Meaning, depending on your rules, you can almost complete Super Mario Wonder without killing a single enemy. And if you want to make things more difficult for yourself, like I did, you can even save plenty of enemies as well. Hope you enjoyed the challenge, and hope to see you for the next one.